Page 4. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanye joda zoge chonamla Dage jinso gebe sonamge dola penjire sanye dubare sho Sanye joda zoge chonam Chanju bado dane yazo she Dage jinso gebe sonamge dola penjire sanye dubare sho Sanye joda zoge chonam Chanju bado dane yazo she Dage jinso gebe sonamge Tola benjire sanje dubare sho. Page 6. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, we'll read the three principal aspects of the path. Page 78. Three principal aspects of the path, which we discussed this morning: wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta, and the renunciation. And the order that we have here is renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. And the author, Lama Tsongkhapa, how he explained this is that each of these 3 points, they're taught under 3 subheadings. One, for example, say renunciation. Why should we generate renunciation? Why do we have to cultivate renunciation? Number 1. Number 2, once you're convinced that yes, we have to cultivate renunciation. If I don't want suffering, I have to cultivate renunciation. Once you're convinced with this, next question is, once you know that it is important to learn how to learn, it is important to generate renunciation. Then the next question would be, how? Okay, now I know the importance of this. Tell me how to generate it. So next one is how. Once you know how to do that, then the next question is that you practice it and you're wondering as to what is the measure of me having done my job, or the measure of having generated or cultivated renunciation. Number 1, why to generate renunciation. Number 2, how to generate renunciation. Number 3, what is the measure of having generated with the renunciation. Let me repeat it, 3 points. Why to generate renunciation, how to generate renunciation, and the measure of having generated renunciation. Likewise for bodhicitta, same. why, how, and the measure. Likewise for the wisdom of emptiness, why, how, measure. And for your information, that the Lama Tsongkhapa's style of composition is extremely clear. It is the self-explanatory. At the same time, when it comes to wisdom, it requires a lot of explanation, discussion, which we're going to do. Otherwise, the meanings are pretty clear, and you have to identify, you have to do your own homework after this class, perhaps even during the group discussion. You can just open this book, page 78, and identify which are the points. So which means each of 3 points taught under 3 subheadings, total 3 into 3, 9. 9 subheadings is there, but some of the subheadings are implicitly taught. For example, like the measure of having generated renunciation. For renunciation is fine, but for the bodhicitta, what is taught in renunciation, you apply this to the bodhicitta. So there are some points which are implicitly to be understood, meaning that you have to take it from the points. Okay, let's read this, and this is extremely a succinct point, and to be supplemented on top of what we do in the morning practices. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when I was very young, in my 20s, I remember that His Holiness, to one of the public teachings, he said that, and this is the text which, of course, there are many commitments that His Holiness do every day, and this is one of the texts which he recites every day. I reflect on the meanings. So because of that, it becomes my personal journey as well, to recite it every day and reflect on meanings. Okay, let's read this together slowly. Most important thing is meanings to be reflected upon. The 3 principal aspects of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Buddha, the path praised by the conqueror's children, in the entrance for those who desire liberation. Okay, for those of you who are new to this, conqueror refers to the Buddha. The Buddha is referred to as conqueror, the one who conquers the mental defilements. Conqueror here refers to the Buddha, the one who conquers the mental defilements, one who conquers the 4 demons. There's technically what is known as the 4 demons. Okay. And the conqueror's children meaning conqueror's children, conqueror referring to the Buddhas, and conqueror's children referring to the Bodhisattvas, who are going to become Buddha soon. Okay, let's read this once more. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I'm able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Buddha, the path praised by the conqueror's children, the entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of secular existence. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity, and direct your mind to the path that pleases the Buddhas. Without pure renunciation and end to attraction for the pleasure of secular existence, the craving for existence also binds beings. Thus, from the outset, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life by reflecting on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karmas and its effects and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendid secular existence and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is born in you then. Renunciation, if not tempered by pure mind of bodhicitta, however, will not bring forth the perfect bliss of unexcelled. Wise one generated the excellent mind of bodhicitta, stirred up by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma so hard to undo, caught in iron net of the self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn to mount this cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the 3 miseries. Thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive to understand dependent and arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana and destroys all focus of apprehension has entered the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearances are infallible, dependent and original. Emptiness is the understanding that is free of assertions, As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddhas. When those two realizations concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refuse the extreme of existence, emptiness refuse the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the points of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination, and quickly reach the final aspired goal. Okay. This morning, what we were discussing is that what we learned is that we have the potential to experience fearlessness and infinite happiness. Fearlessness technically referred to as nirvana, and the infinite happiness technically referred to as Buddhahood. Okay, so when you're speaking to other people, like say, what have you learned? What did you do during the retreat here? When you interact with these people, and if the other person is Buddhist or who already knows about Buddhism, is fine. If not, then instead of saying that, oh, I learned about nirvana, Buddhahood, instead of that, you can speak about we need to learn how to speak these concepts in vernacular or secular vocabularies. Say, I learned how to attain fearlessness. I learned how to attain infinite, how to expand the circle of happiness. These are very secular. Everybody will understand it. And then the question will come, how? So how does one attain fearlessness, and how does one attain the infinite happiness? Then the fearlessness, opposite of fear, the fearlessness of fear. And fear is generated by ignorance. And what is ignorance? Then you explain. We don't have to really go into the Buddhist technical terms. You can share with in a very secular context. Finally, the purpose is not to make somebody Buddhist. The purpose is to make others be liberated from samsara. That's the whole purpose. Liberate from the fears of life, and let him or her expand the circle of the happiness. Okay, so then what we said is that we have two goals. Nirvana in technical terms. Now, for you, I'll be using the technical terms. We have two goals in our mind: nirvana and Buddhahood. And although we have the seeds to experience these two, what blocks us from experiencing these two is the defilements, or the mental defilements. And the defilements, there are of two, because there are two goals. There must be two different defilements. The two goals differ in subtlety. So one is nirvana, personal liberation. The other one is liberation for yourself and liberation for all the sentient beings. In other words, complete enlightenment. Which is more difficult to attain? Full enlightenment. Or Buddhahood is more difficult to attain in comparison with the attaining nirvana. So that what blocks us from attaining nirvana, that is easier to be eradicated, cleansed, in comparison with what blocks us from attaining Buddhahood. So there are two metal stains, two goals, two metal stains. And these two metal stains, the first one is technically known as afflictive obscurations. First one, which blocks us from attaining fearlessness or nirvana, is known as afflictive obscurations. Other one which blocks us from attaining Buddhahood is known as cognitive obscurations. Okay, we have to know these technical terms. That we have two goals, and what blocks us from attaining these two, there are two defilements. The first, or obscurations. The first one is known as afflictive obscurations, and second one is known as cognitive obscurations. Okay, afflictive has a connotation of affliction. What is affliction? Affliction, for example, like anger, desire, hatred, belligerence, spite, miserliness, and so forth. These are the afflictions. So afflictive has a connotation of affliction, related to afflictions. So the afflictive obscurations, the difference between afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations on the level of the example. Usually I give the example of, let's say that somebody smashed a garlic in my mug and say that I don't take garlic, and you come to know that I don't take garlic. You're apologetic. You remove the garlic, I'm very sorry. You remove the garlic, you wash it so well, and there's no trace of garlic now. You smell it, it still smells garlic. It still smells garlic. So with the garlic, there are two things. One is the solid part of the garlic, and the other one is the subtle smell of the garlic. There's solid, which is easier to be removed? Solid garlic is easier, or the smell of the garlic to be removed? Solid garlic. So solid garlic is the metaphor for the afflictive obscurations, and the smell of the garlic is the metaphor for the cognitive obscurations. Okay. So then the next, and say you should have as many questions. As many questions. It doesn't mean that, oh, no question come to mind and he's expecting so many questions. You're getting it? Don't worry. Particularly those people who are doing NMC1, who did NMC1, NMC, now do NMC2. Okay, raise hands, NMC2. NMC2, NMC1 and 2, raise hands. And NDC4, NDC4, okay. So you are expected to have more questions coming because the clarity is coming, building up. For example, like this girl, his hand, yes, who attended several retreats just recently, one of the other retreats, and because of which she's very serious, and that she told me just now meaning today, that more and more questions are coming up with more and more retreats, more and more questions are coming up. This is so good. Clarity is coming. You're getting it? It's not that easy. This concept requires a lot of reflections, and the more studies, more reflection, then more thoughts come to you. Clarity comes. With the clarity, confidence builds up in you. Say, with such a clarity in your mind, when you hear somebody teaching, somebody is, let's say that, talking about Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy and so forth, or not necessarily Buddhist philosophy, any concept about thinking, compassion, or how to manage the community, how to manage your family and so forth, when you hear to this, when you have a very profound understanding of these thoughts which we're learning, you will actually see the level of the other person's thinking. You can easily see that. What is the level of the maturation of the other person's thinking? You can easily see that. So this is so important, the clarity. And particularly those who are doing NMC2, NDC 4, you are expected to come up with more questions. And if the questions do not come to your mind, don't worry. At least that when somebody asks a question, then you must take it seriously. Do I have the answer to this question? If you have, be happy, and also don't be complacent. Don't be complacent that, oh, I know the answer, right? You give the answer and entertain further questions, follow-up questions from others. This is so important to come up with the clarity. Then you become very confident. So sometimes we are so dependent on the teachers. This is not a good idea. You should become independent. So how don't you become independent? It's because if you don't learn it yourself, then you always have to depend on somebody else. And when the teacher's gone, then you are lost. So therefore, while we have this human brain, we have to make sure that we learn and we be confident. Not that, oh, there's a Rinpoche coming, there's Geshe coming, then we, not like this. You should become confident yourself. You should learn. There's no one person known as Geshe, Kempo, whatever. So this is something who learn and then come. You can also learn. Why not? I'm extremely happy to see that from NMC1, Nara Master's Course 1, started in 2016, launched by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and particularly those people who have been very consistent. I could see that they shine so much. So likewise NMC2. If you are being very consistent, it's not necessary you should be so intelligent. Even if you are intelligent, this is best. If you're not intelligent, still be consistent. Your intelligence grows, and there's a flow, there's a momentum in your knowledge built up. So with this, you see that by the time you complete the 5 years, you see that there's a concrete knowledge in your hand, and there are many things to say that for you to explore. And then also that what we suggest is that the say what you've learned before, what you've heard before, what you've heard before. We never know many of these. In fact, this is what I come across some people with all strange concepts, supposed to be Buddhist concepts. They are not. Even in Tibetan Buddhism, there are many blind faith concepts are there, which are not actually Buddhist texts. So what we suggest is that the learn more, and don't remain complacent with whatever knowledge that you got. Keep improving. Clarity will build up. Okay. So this is what we said is that two goals there, and there are two. Why we don't experience two goals at the moment is because there are two sets of defilements. One defilement is known as afflictive obscurations, and the other one is known as cognitive obscurations. And later on, each one of us we expected to know why the first class of affliction, the defilements, is known as afflictive obscurations, and why the second class of mental defilements is known as cognitive obscurations. Shedip. Why we call that as cognitive obscuration or shedip, and some people translate it as the obstructions to omniscience. Cognitive obscurations or obscuration to omniscience. So you learn both the translations, because later on, if you do come across the reading some materials, good materials, you may see the different translations and you may get lost. You may think that these two are different. They are not. They are same. Cognitive obscurations or obstruction to omniscience both mean the same. Okay, so we see that there are two obstructions, and once you identify the obstructions, then our next job is what? Okay, so before we jump to the next, first, what constitutes cognitive obscurations? What can you see within yourself? Like what exactly within me are the afflictive obscurations? And the next question is, what exactly within me are the cognitive obscurations? Okay, so the afflictive obscurations, given that we have only, say, the few days is not the number of the, say, adequate number of days. So I'm going a little faster, and usually a lot of interactions happen, and interactions actually help us a lot to make things clearer, to be convinced, to get conviction in what we are learning. But since we don't have much time, I may not interact too many times as much as I used to do with other retreats. Okay, so which means that with interaction, there are two benefits. One is with interactions. One is that your mind becomes a passive listener, right? Passive listener means, right? But it's afternoon, so that is usually the interactive, being interactive, and this will be stopped. So your mind will be alert, and then you keep imbibing things. Whereas when I talk more, then we tend to become more passive listeners, and then there's a tendency for us to fall asleep more easily. This reminds me of, by the way, just a little bit of sharing. It was like many years ago, 2005. How many years ago? 18. Oh, time flies. 18 years ago, I was in Australia with His Holiness. And then it was from Delhi to Singapore to Australia. Long flight. And landed where? Sydney. Landed. And then His Holiness from the airport directly went to His Holiness's program site where the program is happening. No rest. Direct. and His Holiness was so energetic. And many of us, including myself, standing. One of the programs where people are standing. Still, I would just I just started to fall asleep. Oh, very scary. Then after this, straight to the teaching hall. Then His Holiness was sitting on the throne, and I was sitting just on the stage. His Holiness and me, only two of us. His Holiness sitting on the throne, and His Holiness, no jet lag, nothing. And then I was sitting below, and then everyone, perhaps like 10,000 people were there in the hall. They were just watching His Holiness and what this young boy is doing, sitting down. And then when His Holiness speaks in Tibetan, that's very good. I remain alert. When His Holiness starts speaking English, then I start to fall asleep, and there's a danger I may fall off. Very dangerous. Okay, lucky that it doesn't happen. Okay, so a little bit digression. The interactive, and this will keep us fresh. Okay, or otherwise, another possibility would be that afternoon I can be more interactive, and in the mornings I can have less interaction. Good. Okay, so what exactly constitutes the afflictive obscurations? So here, broadly speaking, we can say, okay, I'd like to also give you the technicalities. 3. Okay, contaminated karmas. So these are the technical things that we learn. And later on, you should get conviction. You're getting it? Because if you don't have the technical, the concepts, then it becomes very shallow. It becomes extremely shallow, soft. One is contaminated karmas. Number 2, afflictions. Number 3, active seeds. Active seeds of the 2. Contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds of the 2. What does it mean by contaminated karma? Karma means action. Say some of us may have a feeling that, oh, karma is a Buddhist concept. Karma is a Buddhist concept, or Hindu concept, or Jain concept. It's as simple as that. It's action, body action, verbal action, mental actions. As simple as that. There's nothing esoteric about it. It's very simple. We have to understand it. Don't just leave it with the technical terms. We must be able to see them in your real life experience. Contaminated karmas. The word is karma, and then the qualifier is contaminated. Contaminated karmas. Okay. What does it mean by contaminated karmas? For time being, say karmas which are influenced by afflictions. Say contaminated karmas, contaminated. They should be the contaminator, contaminant. So the contamination here refers to the afflictions. Contamination refers to afflictions. So the actions which are influenced by afflictions are known as contaminated karmas. And more precisely, contaminated karmas we will learn later on, after getting some clue of what emptiness is. For time being, actions which are influenced by afflictions. Again, what is affliction? This is the next question. Contaminated karmas and afflictions. What is affliction? Affliction is a mental factor. Affliction is a mental factor. Okay, these technical terms, technical things you have to write. You have to learn. Affliction is a mental factor, the presence of which disturbs your mind. Affliction is a mental factor, presence of which disturbs your mind. For example, anger. The moment anger arises, it disturbs your mind. And before we are angry, if somebody said, would you like to be angry? You say no. But when we're in the rage of anger, then you cannot control. You lose the sanity. Before you become angry, you don't want to. You know that it's very disturbing. Likewise, attachment, anger, or all forms of afflictions like belligerence, hatred, malice, the spite, and so forth. All these afflictions, in other words, all the mental factors, the presence which disturbs your mind. Good. And the 2 active seeds. For example, let's say that I have the two handfuls of seeds. One left hand with the normal apple seeds, and the right hand apple seeds which were roasted. Okay, and which of the two, if I plant, will grow? The one which is roasted or one which is not roasted? One which is not roasted. One which is not roasted is known as active seeds. Seeds which can actively give rise to the sprouts later on. So whereas those roasted, they will not give, they're dead now. So what is, say, the afflictions, for example, how many are angry now? No one is angry, right? Okay, opposite of anger, which is like either very calm, compassionate, smiling, or little sleepy. All right, not anger. Okay, but after the retreat, you can go back home. Then again the same thing happens, and then the anger comes. So where does this anger come from? From where? When you are, there must be a continuity there. There must be a continuum. When you're in the retreat time, no anger, and suddenly when you go back, again the anger comes. So how come that? Where does this anger? Where does it come from? From where? Right? So although you don't have the anger now, but you still have the seed of the anger. You're getting it? Active seed of the anger is there. So this can anytime germinate. So that is known as active seed. Okay. Apple seed is not apple, right? Apple seed is not apple. How many agree with me? Apple seeds are not apples. But apple seeds can germinate to grow into apple trees, then apples, right? Okay. So that is the meaning of active seeds of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. Next word. Cognitive obscurations. Cognitive obscurations are like the smell of the garlic. Like the smell of garlic, stains, inactive seeds, or the subtle stains left by the afflictive obscurations. Let me repeat it. Cognitive obscurations are the subtle stains, or the inactive seeds left by the afflictive obscurations. Okay, now there's one technical part which I'm not going to explain this in this class. Maybe I'll explain this later on, closer towards the end of this retreat, because this is very technical and the extremely important concept. So these are the strengths of the Buddhist philosophy. These are the strengths. These are amazing. And these are actually empirical. They're empirical. They're not like, say, dogmas. You can actually see that in your mind. You can actually see that. So who's going to volunteer to ask me later on as to what exactly constitutes cognitive or in other words, what exactly is cognitive obscurations? Anyone? Okay, Abhishekji, the doctor. I still need one more. Okay, the girl over there, your name? Aditi. So we have Abhishekji, Dr. Padma, right? Dr. Pamela, and then the Aditi. Okay, three of you will remind me. Okay, look at them. Raise hands. All of us, look at them, who they are. You know why? Because if we finish the retreat and I leave without explaining this, I'm not responsible. Right? These three are responsible. They're being so kind, actually, to take the risk. Right? Okay. Good. So we see that we have what? Two goals and the two obscurations which obscure our Buddha nature inside. Now, how to remove these two? The next question is how to remove these two obscurations. If you remove the afflictive obscurations, what do you attain? You attain nirvana. If you remove cognitive obscurations, what do you attain? You attain full awakening, full enlightenment, or Buddhahood. Okay. Now, what's the next question? Hey. how to remove the two defilements. Very good. In other words, what remedies to apply to remove the defilements? What remedies to apply? This is what we learned before, is that to know what remedies to apply, we need to know the nature of the defilements. Yes? We already explained this. To know what remedies to apply, we need to know the nature of the defilements. And the nature of the defilements, okay. We talked about afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. So what we're going to learn later on, should we do it now? Okay, yes, we'll do it now. That's better because we don't have time. Okay. In the mantra which we recite every session, before every session, Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All phenomena arise from the causes. Hetum tesham tathagato hyavatad. What the causes are is taught by the Tathagata. Tathagata meaning the Buddha. The Buddha taught this. So, what are the causes? I say the miseries, the results of the suffering that we go through. They arise from what kind of causes our miseries arise from? This question. For this, of course, the Buddha taught what the causes are, but what the Buddha taught is further explained by Acharya Nagarjuna. And the verses, let me say this verse: ceasing of karmas afflictions is nirvana. Ceasing, stopping. Ceasing karmas afflictions is nirvana. Karmas afflictions arise from conceptualization of inappropriate attention, which in turn arises from the elaboration of self-grasping ignorance, and the elaboration ceases through the wisdom of emptiness. Anyone who can identify this verse from this book? 116. Okay, 116. 116. Thank you, Sharipamala. Which verse? Verse number 5, 116. This is from chapter 18 of Arya Nagarjuna's text. 116. And you see that the same verse, we have cited this several times in this book. I think about it 3 times. But this is main source, which Sharipama identified. This is main source, original source, which is from the Arya Nagarjuna's own text. Okay. Let me read this. Ceasing karmas afflictions leads to, there's a little translation modification required. Ceasing of karmas afflictions is nirvana rather than leads to nirvana. Is nirvana. Please change that. Ceasing karmas afflictions is nirvana. In Tibetan, leta nyumo sepe tar. Karmas afflictions arise from conceptual thought. These arise from mental elaborations of grasping a true existence. Elaborations, this typo there, elaboration cease, or if you make it singular, elaboration ceases. If it's plural, elaboration cease by or into emptiness. Okay, this verse is extremely important. Let me quickly explain this here, and then we'll read this later. Say that the 5 points are identified here in this verse, 5 points, and extremely comprehensive. What you're going to learn about the Buddhist concepts, many of the Buddhist concepts, if you learn a few of the verses from Arya Nagarjuna, and if you understand what they mean, you get the Buddhist concepts very clear. Many of the teachings, they hover around the Buddhist teachings, of course, and then you see that in the verses written by Arya Nagarjuna, they're extremely comprehensive. Okay, 5 points are there. The first, that we go through the sufferings, and what it taught here is what? Ceasing of karmas afflictions is nirvana. What's the opposite of nirvana? Samsara. Okay, point number 1 is samsara. And what is samsara? Again, you feel free to ask these questions. Don't think that, okay, samsara, people talk about samsara, we're in samsara. What exactly is samsara? All these we have to learn. What exactly is samsara? Okay. Number one is samsara. Samsara, for the time being, in simple terms, we can say, the miseries, the suffering that we go through, samsara. And this samsara is a result of contaminated karmas. It says ceasing of karmas, the afflictions, is nirvana. That karma is contaminated karma. Not all karmas. Karma, there are two kinds: contaminated karmas and uncontaminated karmas. There are two. So karma that is being discussed here is the contaminated karma. So miseries or samsara given rise to by contaminated karmas. Number two. By the end of this, I will ask you to explain to me the 5 points. You getting it? Okay. One is samsara. Samsara is a result of, immediate cause of samsara is contaminated karmas. And the immediate cause of contaminated karmas is afflictions. Number 3. It says karmas and afflictions. Okay. Immediate cause of affliction is, okay. So what it said here in this text is karmas and afflictions arise from conceptualization of inappropriate attention. Please note it down. Conceptualization of inappropriate attention. Okay, what is inappropriate attention? Don't just speculate. You're getting, these are technical terms. Okay, if you speculate too much, you will not get anywhere. You're getting it? You like to know what that is like if you speculate too much? You like to know? Huh? You like to know? You don't like to know? Hey, say something. Yes or no? What is this? Huh? Yes. Okay. If you speculate too much, the meaning of the words, right? You end up into complications. For example, once there was a monk teacher and a monk student, and the monk teacher had no exposure to the computers from the older generation, right? And they say that the monks, they have to follow the rules, regulations. So the young monk student heard about emails, right? And the Instagram, Facebook, and so forth. Then he asked the teacher, "Sir, can the monks use emails?" And the teacher did not have any idea what is email, right? So the safest answer for him to say is that, okay, you can use the email as long as there's no attachment, right? For him, attachment for the monk teacher. What it means by attachment, and right, what is meant by attachment in the email context is very different, right? What is the attachment in the context of the emails? Hey, tell me. Raise hand, raise hand, raise hand, raise hand. Yes. A file document that you attach, that is attachment. You getting it? And what was this monk, the monk teacher thinking? Right? Don't have desire. Right? This is them. As long as there's no attachment, it's fine. Right? So the poor young student monk must be sending emails without the attachment all the time. Right? Attachment is not allowed. Right? No file to be attached. So these are the communication gap, not knowing the meanings of the words in the proper context. You're getting it? So inappropriate attention, don't speculate. You're getting it? Same, if somebody asks you, what is my name? If you have no clue what my name is, don't try to guess. Maybe Peter or Bob, right? Don't guess. You're getting it? This is not a matter of guess. For example, if you ask me, if I ask you, what is my age? You can guess. From my face, from my body movement, you can guess. But what is my name? What's the name of my father? You cannot guess. You have to ask. I don't know. Please tell me directly. There are things which you can guess, things which you cannot guess. You're getting it? So the technical terms, that means we cannot guess. We cannot guess. So inappropriate attention is a technical term in this context. Because it's technical term, we cannot guess. It has a technical specific meaning there. Attachment, it doesn't mean desire in the context of the computer science. It simply means a file or something to be attached along with the mail. Okay, so inappropriate attention. What is that? We have to study it. And then what? Ceasing karmas afflictions is nirvana. Karmas afflictions arise from conceptualization of inappropriate attention, which in turn arises from Manjari, what did you say in the text? What is that in the text? What is the immediate cause of the inappropriate attention as indicated in the text? Okay, elaboration. Mental should be in the bracket. You're getting it? Elaboration. And then to elaborate a little bit, elaboration of self-grasping ignorance. And if you want to add the self-grasping ignorance, put the self-grasping ignorance in bracket to indicate that this is not the root word. This is coming from the translator's edition. Meaning is there. The meaning is in the root, but it's not in the words. Okay. So, what are the 5 points discussed in this verse? Anyone? Raise hands. What are the 5 points? Okay. Abhishek ji. What are the 5 points discussed? Samsara, contaminant karmas, afflictions, conceptualization of inappropriate attention, self-grasping is perfect. Very good. Okay, what is the next question? Anyone? So we learned these 5 points. What is the next question? What question that you have? Not necessarily that what should be the ideal next question. No. What comes to your mind? Quick. Huh? Emma? Huh? Okay. How we eliminate self-grasp? Very good. Anyone else? There are many questions. Many questions can come up. Meaning of samsara? Some say, what's the meaning of samsara? Anyone else? Any other questions? Yes, Rambila? What is contaminant karmas? Anyone else? Yes. So how they're all causally connected? How they're all connected? These 5 points, how they're causally connected? Very good. Very good. More questions? More questions? More questions? Yes. What does it mean by elaboration? Why the self-grasping ignorance is referred to elaboration? Anyone else? More questions? What is affliction? Okay, how can the cessation come into existence? How can we attain the cessation of the miseries? Very good. Anyone else? What constitutes the inappropriate attention? What does it mean by inappropriate attention? What is the technical term? Right? What's the technical meaning of inappropriate attention? Okay, first let's go through one by one. Suffering, we already have the experience of suffering. To technically understand what samsara is, will come a little later when I introduce emptiness a little bit, but you should keep this as a question mark. Put as a question mark. Put a question mark to this part. What exactly is samsara? You're getting it? Later on, you want to ask, you can ask me later on, not now. It can become very complicated for time now. Then the next one is samsara in a loose sense. It's the miseries that we go through. How many of you have the experience of miseries? Raise hands. We all have, right? That is samsara in loose sense. Okay, so that arises from contaminated karmas. What constitutes contaminated karmas? Now, not only we learn them theoretically, we also need to know how they are actually happening within me. How I'm involved with these 5 points. This is what we have to know. Okay, contaminated karmas. Any karma influence, any action that you do, physically, verbally, mentally, action that you do, influenced by afflictions. Afflictions. And if you want to know afflictions like what? We talked about attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. And in a broad sense, afflictions of 3 kinds, 3 categories or 3 families. Afflictions of 3 families. They say that human beings can be grouped into, how many human beings are there? 8 billion human beings. And for the time being, we don't know who each of these 8 billion human beings are. We don't know, but we can classify them in 2 groups or 3 groups. Let's say the males and the non-males. Is it Good way of classifying the human beings? Yes, no? You are happy, not happy? Males and non-males, right? You cannot think of any human being which is not a male or not a non-male. So we can classify in that form. Likewise, afflictions, although there are trillions and trillions of afflictions exist within us, but we can broadly see them in three classes, in three families. One, affliction which glues to the object, which moves towards the object. This is known as the family of attachment, which moves towards the object. Involuntary movement towards the object. Towards the object. The word is involuntary. Involuntary movement towards the object. For example, your stomach is full, right? Okay, now you let have one more, one more of dal or vegetable, one more spoon of vegetables. Oh, I'm full. No, nothing to go. And then the cheesecake is brought. You still have this space for cheesecake. You're getting it? It's purely attachment. You're getting it? So body, what it requires is sort of, you said, I'm full now. Not even a drop can go, right? Not even one sip of the water can go now. But when the cheesecake comes, it's the exception. That is purely attachment. This cheesecake glues you. Your mind is pulled by the cheesecake. This is involuntary pull. Involuntary pull, all the mental states related to the involuntary pull, they fall under the class of the family of attachment. Then there's another class of afflictions. So we talk about the three poisons afflictions. But what are they? If you understand in this sense, it becomes so easy for us, and it makes total sense. One is the involuntary involuntary pull. This is one. Other one is involuntary push. You're getting it? Involuntary push. Say you want to keep, okay, now I come to the deer park. No, renunciation. So now I should be nice to myself. I give myself time, space, rest. I want to just be in the peace of mind. Suddenly the person who was your neighbor, complicated neighbor in your house, in your place, so that neighbor also started thinking of, I have a complicated neighbor. Who's that? Your neighbor is saying that I have a complicated neighbor. Who's that? Right? So you run away from that neighbor, and the neighbor is also running away from you, right? And the neighbor also ended up in rude institute, right? And the neighbor passes by, right? Neighbor passes by. What happens? Your mind again feels disturbed, right? Involuntary push happens. No meaning. Involuntary push. You're getting it? So although you said that I will have a peace of mind, now no, there's no peace of mind. The neighbor passes by, involuntary push happens. So that is involuntary push. Involuntary push falls under the category of a family of anger or aversion. So involuntary pull and push is attachment and aversion. Okay. Then next is, so when the feeling is neutral. When the feeling is neutral, then what happens? When the feeling is neutral, then the ignorance continues. Ignorance. With the neutral feeling, the ignorance flows. You're getting it? Okay, I know that you have questions. If you have any question, note them down. You may forget. You're getting what I said is that when the neutral feeling comes, when the pleasant feeling comes with the cheesecake, the pleasant feeling comes, involuntary push happens. When your complicated neighbor comes, involuntary unpleasant feeling comes. With this involuntary push happens. There's aversion. And with the neutral feeling, no pleasant feeling, no unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling, then the mind, what happens? Involuntary push and pull stops, but there is a flow of the ignorance. So there's a third class of the afflictions which fall in the category of what is known as the ignorance, family of ignorance. So these three are known as the three poisons: involuntary pull, push, and ignorance. Involuntary pull is attachment, involuntary push is aversion, and then ignorance. These three emotions. Okay, so we see that the actions, it says, samsara created by contaminated karmas. Our actions are responsible. our actions are responsible. So they say good actions will give rise to good results. Bad actions will give rise to bad results. So the contaminant karmas will give rise to samsara. And what triggers the contaminant karmas? So the one beauty of the Buddha's teachings is to track the cause, and identify them and remove the cause, and then the undesirable results come to an end on its own. So with this, I say the karmas, contaminant karmas, meaning any action that you do physically, verbally, mental. Besides these three, there's no action that we can do. Physically, verbal, mental. Three are the actions. And these three actions influenced by the afflictions known as contaminated karmas. And the contaminated karmas can be also virtuous. Don't forget it. It's not always non-virtuous. It can be, even non-virtuous karma can also be contaminated. If virtuous karma can also be contaminated. You getting it? You don't get it. Okay. Hey, Rimbila, you don't get it. Yes. Okay. So, Rimbila, don't make me, don't shock me. Right? NMC1. NMC1, I don't get it, then it shocks me. Okay, lucky that you got it. Okay. What is contaminated virtuous karma? How can the virtuous karma be contaminated? Okay. Let's say, in your dream, how many of you have dreamt of being kind towards somebody else? Raise hands. At least one time. At least one time in your life. Okay. But those people who said that I didn't get it, you have to pay attention to me, right? Okay, good. What did I say? Say it again. Dreaming of being kind. Very good. Thank you. So that you dreamt of being kind to, let's say, another person, right? Another person. So that person in your dream, did you see that person as a dream person or a real person? Hey, you never remember the dreams? Never. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, they say, do you know that some people say some are the, let's say that some people who are the CEO of the companies, some of them deliberately come in the facade of like a beggar to check the efficiency of the company. You know that? Okay. So if you deal with that person not nicely, right? Not nicely, thinking that this is a real beggar, right? You end up in problem. Okay. Why don't you treat this person nicely? Because you thought that this is a real beggar creating problem to my company, right? Okay. So is that real beggar or the facade of a beggar? It's a facade of beggar. It's not a real beggar. It's your company CEO, right? And if you see the CEO company, the CEO coming to you, you will really treat him so nicely, right? So this action is happening because because of the, and on the contrary of they're treating this seemingly beggar badly. If you treat the person so nicely, you give food, you're being so kind. So this kind is showed by you is with the belief that this person is a real beggar. Yes. So is that ignorance or this not ignorance? Seeing that person as a beggar, real beggar, is ignorance. Yet this gesture of being kind, is it good or bad? It's a very good gesture. Of course, a very good gesture. Everybody appreciate it, right? And if you do this to a CEO who comes in the facade in the pretext of a beggar, then you may become the junior CEO. He may appoint you as a CEO. You're getting it? He's very kind person, right? And he doesn't really look at who you are. Even if you come in the facade of a beggar, he treats you so nicely. So the point is that, so this, although this gesture is so compassionate, but this gesture is mixed with the ignorance, seeing the other person as a real beggar, while not. So ignorance falls under the category of the affliction of ignorance, class of affliction. You're getting it? It's contamination. Ignorance is a contamination. So virtuous karma blend with the ignorance can have this known as contaminated virtues. Okay, good. And don't worry, let's say the next 1 week we'll have more discussions on these things. So now we need to keep in mind, say for example, what kind of, say, actions are there, contaminant karmas are there. Broadly speaking, they are innumerable, but broadly speaking, 10 non-virtuous karma to be stopped, and then you adopt the 10 virtuous karma. If you do that, then we tend to get away from miseries. Okay, 10 non-virtuous karmas are identified and 10 virtuous karma are identified. If you identify 10 non-virtuous karma, opposite of 10 are known as the 10 virtuous karma. What are the 10 non-virtuous karma? 3 physical, 4 verbal, 3 mental. You're getting it? Okay. So in Buddhism, there is a practice of what is, okay, there's practice what is known as the practice of 10 virtues. And somebody says that oh, I'm Buddhist. But not actually doing the 10 practices. Whereas there's another person, atheist, who doesn't believe in any religion, and yet conforming to the 10 virtues, staying away from 10 non-virtues. The effect is what? The next favorable birth. So although you believe as yourself as Buddhist, but not complying with the 10 virtues actions, then the result will not, you will not get the result, the virtuous result. Whereas for the non-virtue, the atheist who conform to the 10 virtues, when that person dies, will reap the benefit. It's not about you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist. It's about what you do. This is a point. What we do. This is so important. So therefore, it's not about the labels. It's about, say, what we do. And that is actually accepted by all the religions. Even by law. Yes, if you don't engage in these, say, the crimes, then the law will not punish you. But if you engage in the crimes, it doesn't matter whether you're Buddhist, non-Buddhist, the law will punish you. You are punishable under the law. So with this, what are the 10 non-virtues? We have to identify them. And His Holiness, in fact, one time, I was so impressed how His Holiness integrates or sees all these things in secular context. I'm so impressed. So these are technically studied under the Buddhist, the concepts. But His Holiness said that, what are these? 10 non-virtues, 3 physical, 4 verbal, 3 mental. And 3 physical, what are they? Stealing, killing, and sexual misconduct. Stealing, killing, sexual misconduct, 3 physical. If you commit this, even in the, say, the secular context, you are under scanner. You will be put behind bars. It's not about religion that you are expected to do these, stay away from these 3. Then 4 verbal. What are the 4 verbal? Lying, slandering, harsh words, idle gossip. Okay, lying, telling lies. Then slandering, divisive words, creating divisions. And nowadays, even there are laws to say that hate speech is punishable, right? Slandering. And then what? Harsh words. Harsh words extremely, I'll say, the offensive. It hurts. People so easily. Harsh words. And then idle gossip. 3. 4. Then 3, mental. What is 3 mental? Covetousness. What is covetousness? What is covetousness? Wanting things which are possessed by others. Wanting things which are possessed by others. This is a major cause of conflicts in the family, in the world, on the global level. This is a major complication. For example, like annexing the land of somebody else, possessed by somebody else, is a huge the complication. Then in the family, right? In the family, all these complications, like what? Cheating and so forth, is all about this, possessing things of somebody else's. And all this extremely sour relationship in the family happens. These are extremely painful for your family, for your children, for everyone. So covetousness, this extreme, one of the extreme ways which create so much of disharmony in the communities. What is next? Ill will or the malice. What is malice? What's the difference between malice and anger? What's the difference between malice and anger? Yes. Anger may not necessarily have the intention to harm others. When the anger can go too extreme, then wanting to harm others that becomes malice. Okay. Then finally, wrong view. So you see that the 3 mental, they are like, again, from the 3 families of afflictions. Covetousness in the family of attachment. Malice in the family of aversion. And then the wrong view in the family of ignorance. Wrong view, what is wrong view? Wrong view is not knowing the efficacy of law of karma. Not knowing or ignoring, discarding the efficacy of the law of karma. Disregarding the law of karma in simple terms. Disregarding the law of karma, that is the wrong view. Okay, so these are the 10 non-virtuous actions, and anyone whosoever engages in these 10 non-virtuous actions, the result is going to be very sour, very painful. If you don't want to have the painful results, the tears of life, the immediate causes are the 10 non-virtuous actions. We have to stay away from these. 1. And these are triggered by what? These actions are triggered by number 2, what? Suffering created by contaminated karmas. And contaminated karmas, I said, identify the 10 non-virtuous actions. So what triggered these contaminated karmas? Afflictions. Okay, so look, we have to be very convinced of what these are. It's not like learning the formulas. Is there anybody from chemistry? Chemistry background, raise hands. Chemistry background. Okay. William, chemistry background. Anyone else? Chemistry background? Okay. When I was in class 11 and 12, I remember learning by heart all these hundreds and hundreds of organic chemistry formulas. Yes, William? Yes. Right? How many of you have nightmare of this organic chemistry formulas? Right? Yes, okay. I used to keep a separate notebook, separate small notebook, and I didn't have money to buy. So I made it on my own, being very creative. Made it just to write down all the formulas. And I was just wondering, who created this formula? Is it that he randomly created the formula, or she randomly created the formula, or that there's a rule there? What is that rule? I wanted to learn. And I asked my teacher, I never got the answer. You getting it? But my teacher was extremely kind. I asked all these questions, and he said that he categorically told me that, Dorji, you bring all your questions written. So next day, I wrote down all the questions, gave it to him, and I was expecting that he's going to give me the answer right there. He took it, and for next 3 days, no answers. The third day, he came up with 5, 6 whole sheets of his own handwritten answers. He did a lot of homework. That's amazing. I really respect such teachers who put effort, who take their students' questions very seriously. Okay, so what I'm saying is that these should not be learned like a formula. You're getting it? You can learn as a formula, but you should know how this formula came to exist, how this formula is derived. You have to learn this. You're getting it? Why in the so physics, of course, I like it so much. And particularly why one thing that makes me so fond of physics is that it's all about derivations. You keep deriving things, and that you don't really have to remember all the steps. You know the basic principle behind, then you derive it, you get the answer. Perfect. Whereas for chemistry, you have to just learn by heart all these things. And for sure, there must be some rules, regulations, how these rules, how these formula come into existence. There must be some principle operating behind. And I didn't get it. Okay. So the point is that, say, how the karmas are derived by, hey, how the karmas arise from afflictions, right? Don't learn it like, okay, karmas are different afflictions. It's so obvious. It's so obvious, right? For example, say from what the person does, from the physical behavior, from there we can infer what the person's thinking. You're getting it? What the person's doing, these are the actions. And from this, what the person's thinking, there is the driving force. What made the person engage in these actions? For example, tell me, what's going in my mind now? You have no clue. Okay, now tell me, what's going in my mind? What's going in my mind? Huh? What's going in my mind? I just tell me. Yes, in the mind, there's a desire to drink something. You're getting it? There's a desire to drink something. That is the motivating force which makes my action to come into play. You're getting it? Physical action. That is driven by my hand will not move automatically, right? It moves driven by a thought process. So when the hand moves towards the mug, and then how I'm looking for something, you see that he's looking for something. Although you are not seeing my mind, but you can read my mind through my physical actions. Why? What's the correlation? These physical actions are driven by the thought process within me. You're getting it? This thought process is my mental state. So these mental states which drive these destructive actions, karmas, are known as afflictions. You're getting it? So this is how the contaminant karmas are given rise to by the afflictions. Okay. Now the afflictions are given rise to by inappropriate attention. What is inappropriate attention in the first place? This is the question. First, we have to know what is inappropriate attention. Then we can explain. We can explore how inappropriate attention gives rise to the afflictions. Okay. Let's say. Okay. Root institute phones apply phones. You can use, not use, not use. Okay. Let's say that okay, you are dreaming, right? You're dreaming, and okay, now see, you're dreaming, and then I picked up this. You're dreaming, and in your dream, you are attending a class, and in the class, I picked this up, and you looked at it. By the way, anybody who brought your phone, hey, naughty ones, Atiti, right? Okay, Sharifema, you brought the phone. Okay, bring it. It's not permissible? Huh? Okay. Okay. Otherwise, it's not confiscated. Huh? You can keep it? Okay, then it's fine. Let's say that you're dreaming. In the dream, you dreamt of having a class. In the class, I picked this up. You looked at it. Oh, Gishila picked up a mobile. Number one. Is it mobile or dream mobile? You are dreaming. Is it mobile or dream mobile? Dream mobile. But in the dream, you see it as mobile or dream mobile? You see it as a mobile. You're getting it? Good. Number one. Number two, you look at it very carefully. You see that it is brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. You look at it very carefully. What did you see? You see brand new, not 14, 15, right? Brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? Okay. Then what happens? Then you say that, Geshe-la, may I have my phone exchanged with yours? Geshe-la is so kind, right? May I exchange my mobile with yours, right? Okay. Then let's say Mion, right? This is Shanzumla, raise hand. Raise hand, full. Everyone can see you. Okay, so then Mion said that, no, I said it already. Before Geshe-la entered, I asked him that our mobiles will be exchanged, right? Mion said that, I already said this. So this is, his mobile is mine, right? And then two of you will have a fist fight, right? Because how many of you have iPhone 15 Pro Max? Raise hands. That two the brand new. You don't have. So this is iPhone, not 14, 15, right? Pro Max. So the Tenzin Shanzumla said that, I already said it. And two of you have fist fight. With the fist fight, what happens? Behind bars. So what is behind bars? Is prison. Prison is samsara. You're getting it? Prison example of samsara. And then say your mom called you, nobody picking up the phone. And your mom will start worrying. And she called the office. What happened? My daughter is still not picking up the phone. And the office said, oh, there are two people who are behind the bars now. Maybe it's your daughter or your son, right? And then the poor mother comes to the prison. And you are there. You went to Root Institute for Bodhicitta. What happened? Why you are in the prison, right? And then what will you say? Your prison is samsara. Why did you end up in prison? Why? Huh? Louder. Huh? Because of the fist fight. You're going to get fist fight. Why did you fight? You are otherwise very gentle boy, gentle girl. Why did you fight? Then? What did you fight? Fight is action, karma. So prison because of the karma. The karma, what did you fight? What made you fight? Raise hand, raise hand, raise hand. Yes. iPhone 15 Pro Max is lying in the shops. Nobody's fighting. What did you fight? Raise your hands. Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, all the very familiar hands are coming up. No new hands are coming up. I think there are only about like 6 or 7 people in this here. Because of attachment to this iPhone Pro Max, 15 Pro Max, and aversion to the competitor, to Neon, right? This is Shinzumla. So, because the aversion, attachment to mobile and aversion to a competitor. So these two fall under which category? Afflictions. You're getting it? So fist fight because of the afflictions. Why did you have attachment to the mobile? Why did you have the attachment to the mobile? Was your response? You say that, no, mom, this is not just a phone. It's brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? It's not ordinary phone, right? Okay. Are you sure this is a mobile in the first place? Is it mobile or is it dream mobile? It's actual dream mobile. You're getting it? So you see, so all the problems started from seeing the dream mobile is a real mobile. Then dream mobile is a real mobile. You first misconceive the object. Number one is misconception of the object. Then you exaggerate the quality of the object. Number two, that it's not only mobile, it is brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. You exaggerate the quality of the object. Number two, exaggeration of the quality of the object, then the afflictions arise. With afflictions, then and you engage in the karma. With the karma, you end up in the experience of the painful result. Okay, so the behind bars in prison, that is the metaphor for being in samsara. What made you in prison? Because of the fist fight, which is karma, contaminant karmas. And this fist fight is because of attachment to the iPhone 15 and aversion to your competitor. What is that? Afflictions, number 3. Why this affliction? Because of exaggeration of the quality of the mobile. Brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, you exaggerate the quality. So why made you exaggerate the quality of this? Because you, in the first place, you misconceive the object from a dream mobile as a real mobile. Okay, in this connection, how to correlate these the 5 points in the example with the 5 points in as taught by Arjuna. So one in the prison is the metaphor for in samsara. Then what is next? Fist fight is the metaphor for contaminant karmas. And the fist fight because of the attachment to the mobile is the what? Afflictions, triggering all the contaminant karmas. And afflictions or attention to mobile because of the exaggeration of the quality of the object, that is known as inappropriate attention. If somebody were to ask you what is meant by inappropriate attention in the context of these 5 points, you can say it's the exaggeration of the quality of the object. You're getting it? Exaggeration of the quality of the object as so good or so bad. It's not necessarily so good all the time. So good or so bad. You exaggerate the qualities, that is the inappropriate attention. Then what made the person exaggerate the qualities of the object or to have the inappropriate attention? Because of the misconceiving the dream mobile as a real mobile. This is the metaphor for self-grasping ignorance. You getting it? Okay. So if you don't want to end up in the prison, what should you do? You should have stopped fist fight. If you do not want to have the fist fight, what should you have done? No attachment to the mobile. If you don't want to have the attachment to the mobile, what should you have done? You should not have exaggerated the quality of the mobile. If you don't want to exaggerate the quality of the mobile, what should you have done? You should not have seen the dream mobile as a real mobile. If you don't want to see the dream mobile as a real mobile, what should you do? Hey, all of you, my question. What's the question? What's the question? What's the question? Wake up. Wake up is not a question. What's the question? Raise hands. Raise hands. I want to see new hands coming up. Yes. How can you stop seeing that dream mobile as a real mobile? Okay, what should we do? Wake up. You're getting it? Wake up. Okay. Now let's apply this to samsara. How many of us are just fed up with samsara? Raise hands. Okay. If you're fed up with samsara, right? Are you sure? Right? Are you sure? Okay, right. Are you sure? This is a question. Samsara is extremely complicated. Right? Okay, very complicated. Okay. If you are fed up with samsara, don't behave like this. There's one lady, the lady and the professor, the professor and his wife. I was with 2 of them. They invited me to the house. We were on the dining table. We were just having casual discussions. And they were taking care of stray dogs. Many stray dogs. So compassionate. And then the lady expressed her concern over the stray dogs after her passing away. Then I told her that, oh yeah, but still you can continue to pray for them. Even if you die, you can again take birth to help the poor animals. And she said that when I die, I'll not come back to samsara. I'm fed up. Right? Okay. This is not the way how you can stop coming back to samsara. You're getting it? I'm fed up. I don't want to come back anymore. Right? And actually, he's fed up with his husband. I don't know whether that's what is meant by samsara. I know there's a beautiful story behind that. One time, the husband was in a conference which I was also a part of. And the husband, he's a respected professor, very senior professor. And he said, Dorji, you have to come to stay in my house. I stayed in the house the earlier 5 days already. And again he said, no, I already have a booking. I already booked a room. He said, don't worry, just let it go. You come to my house. I said, no, I'm very serious. And he's like insisting, right? Insisting, come to my house. Then finally, because I respect him so much, I said, okay. Then I gave up the room. And then closer to the time we are leaving in his house, in his car, I told him, okay, now you have to inform your wife that I'm coming. He said, yes, sir, I'll inform her. Then but we are in the middle of the way. Again, I reminded him. He said, yes, yes, yes. And closer, I reminded him. Then he called up, said that Dorji is coming with me. And then when we reached the house, and the wife was waiting at the gate entrance of the house, the door, like a policeman, like the hands behind like this. This is not her style, but she's waiting like this, like a policeman. And the husband is pushing me in the front. He said, go, 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 right? So no, you are my host. You have to lead me. He said, no, Dorji, go, 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 right? So still I did not know what is going on. Then I greeted the wife. Good evening. And she said like this, still the same gesture, still the same position, said, good evening. That's it. This is not her style. Today is very tough. Something is wrong. Then I went in, and then the professor followed me. Then in the middle of the conversation, I said, and the professor with in Hindi, in Indian language, there's the honorific word to add this G after name. And the professor, okay, name is A, let's say A, right? To keep it confidential. Professor A.G. Suddenly the wife blasted, Dorji, he does not deserve G. Then I realized why he pushed me, right? And then why he was pushing me in front. He was using me as a fish shield. Shield. Okay. These are all unnecessary problems. Unnecessary problems created by. Okay. So this is a little digression. Then on the table we're discussing, and then I thought about this, and she said that when I die, then I'll not come back to samsara. I'm fed up with samsara. If you're fed up with samsara, if you don't want to come back to samsara, you have to know how the samsara has to be stopped. If you don't know how to stop this, simply because you don't like it doesn't mean that you will not come back. You have to come back. Even if you don't like it, you have to come back if you don't stop the causes. Because all, say, the contaminated things, as long as you are in the sway of contamination, only thing will happen is miseries. All contaminated things are suffering nature. This is reality. So, therefore, if you know these 5 points, then we know so well how to cut samsara. If you want to cut samsara, what should we do? Hey, now you know, you have to tell me. If you don't want to be in samsara, what should you do? You should cut the contaminated karmas. If you don't want to contaminate karmas, what should you do? Cut the afflictions. If you don't want to if you don't want to have the afflictions, what should you do? Cut inappropriate attention. If you don't want the inappropriate attention, what should you do? You should cut the self-grasping ignorance. If you don't want the self-grasping ignorance, what should you do? Okay. They say in the metaphor, if you don't want to see the dream mobile as a real mobile, what should you do? Wake up. You're getting it? So this waking up is the ultimate solution to solution to the problem of going to the prison in the dream. You're getting waking up is the ultimate solution. Likewise, waking up from the sleep. So likewise, in this example, with this metaphor, the real, say, the meaning in terms of the samsaric meaning, then the samsara is also another form of dream. Dream, there are two kinds: conventional dream and unconventional dream. The dream from which we come out every day is the conventional dream. From the conventional dream, we wake up every day. But from the unconventional dream, we have never woken up. Is there anybody who have woken up from the unconventional dream? Huh? If there's somebody, I would say you have woken up from unconventional dream, okay. If there's somebody who's woken up from the unconventional dream, for sure the person would not come to this class. If you do still come to the class, it's not for you to learn, for to check on me, whether he's teaching correctly or not correctly. You getting it? If you have woken up from a sleep of ignorance. Okay, in other words, from the unconventional dream, with the ordinary beings who have never woken up from this dream. So, because of which we continue to exaggerate, misconceive the object, misconceive the quality of the object, afflictions, contaminant karmas, miseries. This is how the miseries perpetuate with us. So if you don't want this, we have to cut the root. The root is the self-grasping ignorance. And how to stop this? By waking up from the sleep of ignorance. You're getting it? By waking up from the sleep of ignorance. It is for this reason that the Buddha Shakyamuni is revered as the fully awakened one. Fully awakened one. So where was Buddha Shakyamuni awakened? Under the Bodhi tree here. Under the Bodhi tree here. This is where the Buddha Shakyamuni was fully awakened. This meaning when he was deeply meditating. What? So in this text, what did it say? Elaboration ceases. Hey, read the text. Don't just look at me. Read the text. Last line. Elaboration ceases by or into the emptiness. Wisdom of emptiness. So this wisdom of emptiness will wake you up to see that all the dream contents are empty of being real, emptiness. All the contents of the dream are empty of being real. You're getting it? It doesn't mean that nothing exists. This requires detailed study. We're going to spend most of the time on emptiness. And of course, we have to spend, say, the the amount of time on Bodhicitta as well. So the point is that we have to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, and by generating or cultivating the wisdom to see the reality as it is. So that wisdom was what the Buddha Shakyamuni was meditating on when he was sitting under the Bodhi tree to get this full awakened state. Okay. So now things become way easier for us. From this, tell me what is the solution to all this, say, misery, samsara, fears. What's the ultimate solution that we have learned now? What is the solution? Cut the root. What's the solution? Wisdom of emptiness. Cut the root. What is that root? Wisdom. What? What is the root? Self-grasping ignorance. Cut this root. Self-grasping ignorance, how? By cultivating the wisdom of emptiness. The next question is, what is the wisdom of emptiness? So this wisdom of emptiness is the liberating path. You're getting it? This is the liberating path. If you have this, you can be liberated. If you don't have this, you may have a nice life in samsara, but still samsaric. There's so much pain associated. However healthy you are, however youthful you are, however wealthy you are, however high status or position you are in, you have sickness, aging, death, tension, depression. All these things are there. So samsara is extremely painful, right? Okay. So therefore, the point is that we need to cultivate. If you really want to get away from samsara, stop all the tears of samsara, we have to see emptiness. And emptiness, wisdom of emptiness, something which is doable. Doable, we can accomplish it. And some people, if you meet with some, people. In fact, I met with several my friends who I always encourage them, study emptiness, practice the wisdom of emptiness. And then on the contrary, they meet with some other people who said that they try to share about emptiness. And what are you talking? Emptiness is high level of the Geshe's Kempos. We cannot touch this topic. It's very complicated. This is not true. If you do encounter such people, even though they claim themselves to be into Dharma for like 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, just ignore them. You're getting it? Don't pay heed to what they say. Wisdom emptiness, it's not about whether you're a monk or nun, whether you're not an ordinary person. It's about your liberation, right? Whether you're a monk or nun or lay person, we all need to be liberated from samsara. Yes? Right? Whether you're a monk or nun, lay person, it doesn't matter. We all want to stop the tears of samsara. If you want to stop that, we have to have the wisdom of emptiness. You're getting it? So it's not about, and this is doable. It's not like we have to believe in something and then we believe and then something will come to our wisdom. It's never like this. It's like the quantum mechanics. It's like quantum mechanics. You study this, do the proper studies systematically, you will get it. It's not about you have to believe in something and then some blessings will come and suddenly you have the wisdom emptiness. It doesn't work like this. Luckily, it's not something like that. We don't have to have a blind faith in this. This is something, with blind faith, you'll not get it. Without blind faith, you'll get it. This is the beauty of this teaching on the awakening, waking up from sleep of ignorance. Okay, so with this, how to wake up? This next question. How to wake up? So how to wake up? For this, the Buddha taught the 4 steps. 4 steps referred to as the 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings. The 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings. Okay, the 4 seals. Number 1, all composite things are impermanent. The 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings. All composite things are impermanent. Okay, number 2, all contaminated things are of suffering nature. All contaminated things are of suffering nature. Number 3, everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Number 4, transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Here the peace refers to nirvana. Absolute peace meaning as a peace without any fears of samsara. Okay, so why these 4 lines are known as the 4 seals? We need to know why these 4 are referred to as the seals, number 1. The next question is, we need to know each of these lines, meaning of each of the statements. And then finally, how each of these links, the number 4, line 4 is connected with number 3, number 3 is connected with number 2, 2 connected with number 1. This is what we have to learn, right? Okay, first, what is the first question? What's the first question? Why these 4 are known as the 4 seals? Okay, let me quickly explain. These are very important. What does it mean by a house, a building is sealed by the government? What does it mean by that? Anyone? Yes. No access building, nobody is allowed to touch the building. You are getting it? Nobody is allowed to touch the building. When the government seals the building, nobody is allowed to touch the building. Likewise, the 4 seals, this is a metaphor. Buddha, in a way, seals these 4 teachings, saying that anybody who wants to stop the tears of samsara, anybody who wants to stop the tears of samsara, these are the 4 things to be practiced. If you don't practice the 4 things, whether you're Buddhist or not, it is not the point. It's about your well-being. You want to stop the tears. You want to stop the tears of samsara, you have to practice these four things. It's like as well the Buddha sealed them, saying that these four things, if you're not interested to leave the samsara, then it's fine. You don't have to practice this form. If you want to be free from the tears of samsara, you have to practice this form. And why? How? This we have to study first before we follow the Buddha blindly. So this is why this known as the four seals. One time, there was early morning, maybe 6 a.m. I received a phone call from a lady. I know the lady so well for the last few years. And she called me up and she said, Geshe-la, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, okay, fine. And she's insisting, Geshe-la, I'm serious, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, it's fine. I said, yes, I'm going to give up Buddhism. Then I asked her, may I know the reason? Actually, I'm not interested in the reason. It's your choice. You want to become Buddhist, not, but it's your choice. I don't want to have to know the reason. You don't have to justify also. But she's so insistent, so I have to say something. So I said, if I may know the reason. She said, the last 3 years I prayed to Buddha, I prayed to Aratara. I prayed to Aratara. And my prayers are never answered. What prayer did you make? Then she said, my brother did not get job. I was praying to Buddha, I was praying to Aratara, please give job to my brother, I said, okay, now I know the reason why you become a Buddhist. Then I told her that if your brother wants a job, don't become a Buddhist. If you're hungry, don't become a Buddhist, go to kitchen. Let me repeat it. If you're hungry, don't become a Buddhist, go to kitchen and eat something, prepare something there. Right? If you're sick, don't become a Buddhist, go to hospital. Right? If your brother wants a job, don't become a Buddhist. Tell your brother, don't go to the pubs all the time. Right? Prepare for the competitive exams, crack the exams, get a decent job. Right? You don't become Buddhist. This is what we need to keep in mind. It's not about Buddhist or not Buddhist. It's about your samsaric experience. Are you happy in samsara? The tears of samsara, sickness, aging, death, tension, depression. Constant I'm hearing about the loss of, the father, loss of this person, this family member, that family member, so forth. This is what I'm constantly hearing. It's so painful to see the pains in the people. I lost my mother when I was 5 years old. And likewise, I lost many of the near and dear ones every now and then. And one day, even I will disappear from this earth. That's a reality. We cannot share this reality. So the point is that these are so painful experiences. One moment of such a pain is good enough to nullify all the past experiences of the wonders, merriments, festivities, marriage, what else? Birthday parties and so forth. One moment of tragedy is good enough to nullify all the past moments. Just recently, a girl and her two parents, it's so painful to see the pain that they're going through. So painful. And I'm connected, I'm related, so I could see this pain and excruciating painful. Just to see them, they talk to me, tears rolling down. It's so painful. This is samsara. Okay, so this with this in mind, saying these are the four seals the Buddha taught, that if we want to stop the tears of samsara, these are the four things that we have to practice. And of course, Buddha encouraged us not to follow blindly. Study them first, reflect on them, and get the meaning out of this and see if it makes sense. If it makes sense, practice. If it doesn't make sense, mature more to see if it makes sense. Okay. So with this, for this, I like to also, before we stop here, I like to bring to your notice what is known as the three wisdoms. I talked about these four seals. We have to study them, we reflect, and then we meditate on this. So we talked about study, reflection, and meditation. Three wisdoms. Wisdom derived through study, or learning, wisdom derived through reflection, and wisdom derived through meditation. 3 wisdoms. Okay, so what do you understand by the wisdom derived through learning? Just guess. Just guess, anyone. What do you understand by wisdom derived through learning? Yes, Abhishek. Comprehension. Anybody else? Just speak what comes to your mind. Anyone? What does it mean by wisdom derived through learning? Listening to teachings. Anyone else? Scribing scriptures. Not these books. Scriptures. Okay. Okay. Commentary, whatever you study more. Okay. How do you okay, yes, this boy here. Keep increasing your knowledge. Keep increasing knowledge. Right? This is the wisdom draws through learning. Okay, Aditya. By the way, your name. Aditi, not Aditya. Aditi, yes. It's a second-hand information. Very good. Second-hand information. What does he mean by second-hand information? Anyone? Yes, John? Borrowed knowledge. Very good. Okay. Who? Yes. Yes. Say it again. Okay, learning creates certain structures in the mind. Permanent. Uh, okay. Good, thank you. How would you distinguish between the wisdom drawn through learning and wisdom drawn through reflection? How do you distinguish the two? Anyone? So once you give the answer to the wisdom drawn through learning, you should make distinction between the differentiation between the wisdom drawn through learning and the reflection. Okay, Johnny, Yoni. Yes, Yoni. What do you understand by the wisdom drawn through reflection? Okay, you have your own opinion about it. Okay, good. Okay, so we have conviction. You get conviction. Okay. So what the intentions is saying, wisdom draws through learning is what this young boy and others said. You study, learn from reading books, also learn from teachers, and you may not be convinced, but you have a lot of information. And then the wisdom draws to reflection. Not only whatever the information that you get, you subject the information to analysis, to your own analysis, contemplation. With this, then you are convinced what is said is very true. When it becomes your own knowledge, then this is known as the wisdom draws through reflection. So this is also known as the when you get the inferential cognition of the subject matter, then it becomes your knowledge or it becomes wisdom drawn through reflection. Okay. So how do we distinguish between wisdom drawn through reflection and wisdom drawn through meditation? Number 2 and number 3. Anyone? Anyone? Yes. Yes. So just sit like this and then that experience what? Okay, like what? Just close your eyes, sit like this, and then everything comes to your mind? So does it require the wisdom drawn through reflection to precede the wisdom drawn through meditation or not? It is required, not required. It's required. Okay, thank you. It becomes experiential, right? And what do you mean by experiential? Anyone? Okay, how many of you know that with anger, unhappiness comes, mental irritation comes? How many of you know that experientially, not intellectually? How many of you know that experientially? Raise hands. How many of you meditate on this? Right? With anger, then unhappiness comes, meditated. Oh, now it's experiential. Raise hands. You meditate on this? Right? It is not required. You're getting it? So how do you distinguish these two? Wisdom drawn through the experiential. This is good, but we have to stop all the loopholes. You're getting it? Okay. We will do we will make this distinction in these three, and then we'll stop here now. Okay, first, what's the first one? Wisdom drawn through learning. Again, these are technical terms. We cannot guess too much. You're getting it? These are 10 terms. We have to know this and see that it makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense, feel free to continue to discuss. And if it makes sense to you, the purpose is fulfilled. So what is the wisdom drawn through learning, right? For example, the medical doctors, they have to read the Gray's Anatomy, right? Right? What's that like? Thin book? It's a fat book, right? It's a fat book. Whether you're going to use it or not, it doesn't matter. You have to learn this, right? Gray's Anatomy, right? You have to learn this. Fat book. So there, are you convinced or not convinced? You don't know, right? You have to memorize all these things. So you should be able to reproduce what's said there in the Gray's Anatomy. You should be able to. Yes, is it true? You should be able to reproduce that. So that is purely, you are just mimicking what is said in the Gray's Anatomy. That's it. And are you really convinced what is said there? Did you really see it yourself? No, I've never seen this. What is said there? I'm just reproducing it. Okay, likewise, say, what is the wisdom drawn through learning? I'll give an example. You're getting it? These are the things that are happening in a real life. Only thing is that we should be able to relate this to these technical, the things that we put in the particular format. Well, like the three kinds of wisdom. Wisdom drawn through learning, wisdom drawn through reflection, wisdom drawn through meditation. Okay, the first, wisdom drawn through learning. So I know this when I was 5 years old. I know this wisdom drawn through learning when I was 5 years old. How do I know this? When I was 5 years old, in the class, right? In the class, maths teacher, I still remember the maths teacher so vividly, her face, right? We are all the students, all the small kids, we're all so scared of this teacher. Is there any teacher besides the school principal? Is there any teacher? One. And the school, Minodiji, two. And anyone else? School teachers? Yes, Mark, three. Okay. This teacher said that all the students, tomorrow when you come, you have to have the multiplication table of 3 by heart. Right? 5, 6 years old, and then no parents pushing you, hey, what's your homework? Nobody saying. After the class, finish class, right? If you don't know what that is like, you're going to ask Ajat Dadunla, Ajat Dunla, and Ajat Sayala, and Ajat Daudum. Okay. So you ask them, they have the experience. Say, no parents are pushing you, what's your homework? You have to finish this. No. School finish, you have total freedom, right? And the children, how will the child have this, I have a homework? No, just lost in games, finish. And the next day, right, now teacher comes, hey Dorji, stand up, recite the multiplication table of 3. Nothing, right? Just remaining silent. Hey, 3 ones are? That's easy. 3, good. 3 twos are? No idea. So His two hands go behind, right? Two hands go behind. Three twos are? Three ones are 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Good. Three threes are? Still no idea. 7, 8, 9. 9. Good. Sit down. Right? So did I get the correct answer? I got the correct answers. Did I know how 3 into 3 equals 9? Did I know that? No, I have no idea how. What is meant by this? 3 into 3 equals 9. I have no idea. I simply know how to do it mechanically. I borrowed this knowledge from the teacher. That's it. I have no idea what it means. Today, if you ask me, are you still the small boy or you are matured? Now you know the meaning of 3 into 3 equals 9? I'll say yes. What does it mean by that? Okay, if I'm to give, say, the 3 apples to the Venerable, 3 apples. So 3 people are there and I need to give 3 apples. I have to take 9 apples. 3 people into 3 apples is 9 apples. This is the meaning. Now I know the meaning. Now it has become my knowledge. So it's not a borrowed knowledge. Earlier, when I was a little kid, when I give the correct answers, all these correct answers are coming from what I borrowed from the teacher. I have no idea how these are correct answers, wrong answers. Now I know the meaning. And then so one point, I was invited to give a teaching, and the host and his little son, who was like 6 years then, and he was so fond of almonds. I brought some almonds, put it there. He started to eat, and he said, "I like almonds." I said, "Have more." Then he picked up one almond and told me that this almond outside is not white, but inside is white. He told me. Then I want to check what is the degree of confidence in him. The 3 levels of wisdom. Wisdom through learning, wisdom through reflection, and the wisdom through meditation. I just want to check. I asked him, how do you know? Right? How do you know the inside is white? Pretending so I don't know. And he said, yes, it is white. And how do you know? No, it may not be white. He broke it and he showed, look, this is white inside. I looked at it. And then I pretend it's so like, wow, it's amazing. How do you know? He said, yes, it's white. How do you know this? Before you're breaking it, how do you know this? Where did you learn this from? He said, no, I don't learn from anyone. I know it myself. You're getting it? He's saying it's my knowledge. It's not a borrowed knowledge. That is known as a wisdom derived through reflection. You're getting it? That it becomes your knowledge. It doesn't become your borrowed knowledge. For example, how many of you know say APPLE is apple? Where do you learn from? Right? No, I know this. Right? I know this. Okay, so it becomes your knowledge. When it becomes your knowledge, this is known as wisdom derived through learning. Good. Now next, what's next? Wisdom derived through meditation. Okay, so you are already very tired. I can see that wisdom derived through meditation. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, we'll stop here. Meditation will do tomorrow. Eyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Okay, for information, at 6 o'clock we have the Bodhicitta class for the Nalanda Masters Course 2 and Nalanda Diploma Course 4. So those students from the NMC 2 and NDC 4, If you're not tired, you like to attend class, you come. For this class is going to happen here. Right? It's going to happen here. And even those who are not from this the class, from these two classes, if you're interested, join us. Feel free to join us. If you're not tired, feel free to join us. It's on Bodhicitta. So we are already at the somewhere in the still we're in the beginning of the Bodhicitta. There is the real Bodhicitta teaching happening for our online class. And there are many students from NDC 4 and NMC 2. Join us at 6 o'clock. Okay, let's turn to page 52 and declaration prayer. Page 52. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization that deeds in the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of the doctrine of scripture and insight. May in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, everywhere in the 2 stages. From my 2 collections, vast space that I've amassed, from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds blinded by ignorance. Okay, 3 prostrations together.